Hey guys, welcome to lesson 8 from session view to arrangement view. So now that we know how to save our sessions and lock in our progress and our work, and we've covered some of the underlying concepts by which Ableton operates, come to grips with how to interact with the program, let's take a minute and talk about how to get from this view right here, session view, into arrangement view, this view right here. So we're going from a nonlinear gridded view to a linear, more traditional playback view. Once we have some ideas sketched out and we have some patterns laid out in order by scene, what we can do is we can play them live, pun intended, into a linear arrangement in our arrangement view. And we can do this on the fly very simply. And I'm going to demonstrate how to do that right now. The quickest and easiest way to transfer your ideas as you have them laid out in session view into arrangement view is to play them back live. And the way you do that is first you set things up. Now I recommend putting your loop brace at bar 17. Doesn't matter how long the loop brace is, but starting playback at bar 17 will give you a little bit of extra room. It'll give you 16 bars to be precise, of room at the beginning to add things or to add, a whoosh riser intro. It just gives you a cushion of space before your track actually begins, okay? So starting at bar 17 is a good place to start. What we're gonna do is in arrangement view, we're just gonna put our cursor on 17, and you can verify playback's gonna begin at 17 right here in your transport area. Hit tab to jump back into session view, and you're going to just click the first scene so that it's queued up. And all you're going to do is make sure you're on bar 17, hit record, and you'll notice that scene 1 is being recorded live into your arrangement view. Make sure looping is off, and when I'm ready to go to scene 2, and you'll notice that all of this is being recorded live into arrangement view from session view, and you are dictating what's getting recorded in when. I'm gonna go down here in 3, 2, 1, stop it, okay? This is gonna continue playing in arrangement view, but I've stopped session view from playing clips out of these scenes, okay? So that is the most direct and probably the most fun way of transferring your ideas from session view into arrangement view by playing them out live, using Ableton almost like a digital instrument. So I stopped after scene 3. Let's say I want to pick it up again at scene 4. Again, very easy. Let's go ahead and click on bar 41. That's where I want to continue playing things back. And I want to take a minute and just bring your attention to this global quantize. Now we've discussed how important global quantize is in playing back clips and demoing out scenes in session view. And also how it comes into play in demoing things out of your browser. But when you are transferring things when you're transferring your composition that you've laid out in your scenes in session view over to arrangement view, it's a lot easier if you up your global quantize to at least 2 bars, or 4 or even 8 bars. So with 4 bars, I'm really not too pressed to get it perfectly click, the scene perfectly at the right time within a bar of when it should change over. I have a good 4 bars before every 8 bar changeover to press the next scene arrow here. So it's a lot more relaxed. You're not under as much pressure, okay? So what I'm gonna do is with that being the case, I'm going to demonstrate why 4 bars is going to give you a lot more time. So again, I left off at bar 41 here. So what I'm gonna do is, again, just cue up the next scene that I want to record, transfer over to arrangement view, and I'm gonna hit record, and it's going to start transferring that scene over to arrangement view. Now, 4 bars of playback, so I can go ahead and click scene 5 anytime, and scene 5 will start playing back. And anytime I can click scene 6, it will automatically start at bar 57 now. See that? Now, at bar 61, I'm going to click 7. Bar 61, 7. Now at bar 65, because it's 4 bars from 61 to 65, it's going to play back, boom, the next scene automatically. Now at 69, I'm going to click 7. Sorry, 8. And at bar 73, boom, automatically. Now I'm gonna let this play back for 16 because this bass riff is actually a 16 bar loop. See that? A little extra bass line there, a little difference. Now if I want to go back to a breakdown, and the fun thing about this is that you can, at any time, change things up. A little bit of a quicker build second time around. And 3, 2, 1, drop. Yep, there we go, there we go. So you can have a lot of fun just clicking around here and at any time playing back any scene or any clip for that matter that you want. Go ahead and stop that, and you'll notice it's gonna take until the next 4 bar part to stop, so it should stop now. There you go. So, that's the quickest, easiest, and most fun way to transfer ideas from session view into arrangement view. And now you've got a linear representation of your ideas, of your composition. And all you have to do is click this little button right here. Back to arrangement is what the button is entitled. And now, instead of playing your ideas, your clips out of session view and having to keep on top of making sure things play back in time, now you're moving from idea mode, you know, kind of the whiteboard of sketching out your ideas. You're moving from that more into a linear printed version of your ideas that you don't have to keep track of what scene is going to play back when. So you're out of the mode of clicking around and seeing what works. You know what works. You've laid it out. You have your scenes laid out in a time-based format. You've transferred them over. Now all you have to do is press play and let Ableton do the work of playing back your arranged, sequenced out composition. Now, another note really quickly is that even if you mess up the timing of playing back a scene at a different time or a different than you initially wanted or envisioned, you can always go in here and edit after the fact. So let's say this came in 2 bars too early. I could always delete that, move things over, and I can always do further editing in arrangement view. Okay? Again, remember, click back to arrange over here to hear it from arrangement view now. There you go. So, I'm just gonna Command Z that, to get back to where I was. So don't worry about getting it perfect while transferring things from session view into arrangement view, okay? Just have fun with it, go with it, and you can always edit it and make it perfect to your ear and edit it to taste later on. So while we're on the topic of editing what you've transferred from session view into arrangement view, you don't have to stick to what you played in live. In fact, you don't really even have to play things in live from session view in the first place. There's another way of transferring ideas, clips, entire scenes even from session view over to arrangement view without having to live record them, as I've demonstrated before. What you can do is you can click on a clip and hold, hit the tab key, and then drag and drop it wherever you want. It can be on the same track that it was on in session view, or it can be on a completely different track, and drag and drop it wherever you need it to be. And from there, you can duplicate it out, you can move it around, you can cut and copy it, all of the standard clip operations after that. Now to do that with an entire scene, you can just click anywhere and drag to highlight an entire scene. And what you'll notice is that if I just click and drag any of the clips, I'm going to start with the first one because it's just easier to work with. You'll notice how I have all of these clips aligned to each other in that scene, and I can drag and drop them again wherever I want. Now, just as we've discussed before with how in session view, Ableton automatically handles looping out clips of different lengths. So this is a 4-bar clip. This is a 1-bar clip. This is looks like a 16-bar clip. In session view, Ableton's gonna loop those out so that they always are looping in time together. And as you can see, some of these are shorter clips than others, and Ableton has already looped them out correctly so that they always play in time, so your sections are always full. With this drag and drop method from session view to arrangement view, now the burden of making sure all of these are lined up correctly is more on you. So it's a little bit more difficult, but the upside is that it's a bit more precise. And if you didn't quite transfer things the way that you wanted to initially from session view to arrangement view by playing them out, you can always go back in and just drag a different clip somewhere or add a different clip in wherever you want to. So that's just another way of transferring your ideas over into arrangement view. Now, one more note I want to touch on really quick while we're talking about transferring ideas from session view to arrangement view is the fact that you can use both views simultaneously. So let's say that I am playing that scene right there, scene 2. But I also want to hear what this track right here would sound like over the top of that. I can, with these arrows right here next to the track names, I can individually hear what a single track out of arrangement view will sound like with this scene out of session view. Now that kind of sounds like it doesn't fit. It sounds a little bit too cluttered there, but you get the idea. You can use both views in tandem to play back clips, okay? Now, a fundamental underlying concept, a underlying kind of a working rule, if you will, of this process and of production in general is something you're probably already aware of, whether you realize it or not. And it's something called the Rule of 8. And basically what the Rule of 8 has to do with is 8-bar measures. It has to do with the length of time between changes in your track. So between addition of new elements, between change-ups of your track, between transitions between song parts. So maybe an intro to a breakdown, to a build up, to a drop. Basically, audiences, dance floors, listeners the world over have been conditioned to expect song parts, transitions in 8-bar patterns, in 8-bar loops. So not necessarily every 8 bars, but 8 bars and multiples of 8 bars. So 8, 16, 24, 32, and so on and so forth. Every once in a while, you're gonna get an exception to that rule. You might have a 1-bar false drop, you might have a 2-bar section, but in general, you're not gonna hear many 5-bar sections or 7-bar sections. Most times, as you can see here, 17 to 25, that's an 8-bar section, okay? 25 to 33, that's an 8-bar section. So again, keep in mind that the rule of 8 is 8-bar sections, and 8 bars and multiples of 8 bars, as that you can see this section is 16 bars, and this section is 16 bars. So just keep that in mind, that that's what audiences, dance floors, and listeners are expecting, is patterns of 8 bars. And if you just were to play out your record and get up and dance around to it, you can just kind of feel that 8-bar pattern as a reoccurring theme in records that are out, and it just sounds more natural in your own productions. So just keep that in mind, and although it's not a hard and fast rule, it's not something you have to go by every single time, it is something that's going to apply most of the time, and it's a lot easier to produce with that rule of 8 always kind of in the back of your mind. Okay, so there you have it. That is how you get from session view into arrangement view and sequence out your ideas and your composition into arrangement view, into this linear format in Ableton. That was lesson 8. Thanks for sticking with us, guys. See you in lesson 9.